Hello, everyone. Welcome inside the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast with Matt and Brian. And Matt is traveling right now, so we have him on via his phone. He's on his way to somewhere in some exotic place doing some baseball stuff. Right, Matt?
You want to call it that? That's
fine. We also have, as always, Kevin Mulder from PBR, Missouri. Kevin, welcome into the show.
Glad to be here.
And we're talking baseball, guys. It was a struggle to get to this point. We've had some rain and whatnot, games being played here and there, people double headers and all kinds of stuff going on. But we're having some championship games today, so that'll help out a lot, and we'll be able to talk a little bit about that. I was hoping to have the championship games already, right?
Yeah, and the brackets have kind of been weird. There's a couple that hadn't even started yet, and then there's a couple that are in the championship games being played today. So it's kind of funny. The weather's thrown a wrench, and of course we got some field turf fields in the area, and some others with tarps and others without, and certain areas got more rain. So it's been kind of interesting to watch some of that unfold.
Yeah, I saw one. I think it was a Winfield and all that. They're still in quarters, I think, or something like that, right?
Yeah, and like the CBC bracket, Slew and Rittner and Kirkwood, they haven't played a game yet.
Ooh. That's going to put everybody behind. Matt, what are your thoughts so far on the whole picture? Have you been out to see anything?
A little bit. It's kind of trying to figure out who's actually playing and who's not playing. That was the hard part. But kudos to the kids, the tarp work, the schools, the coaches for making some of these games happen. Which honestly, some of these teams played, and it was a shock to me. And like you said, there's Winfield, St. Charles West, Dominic, and them. They haven't even started yet, but I think a huge shout out and kudos to all of the kids that put in the tarp work, all of the coaches that made it happen. As you know, Kevin, tarp work is not fun, and getting it out there and getting it on and getting it off and getting these games in, that's huge, and congrats to them for that alone.
Absolutely.
So let's start in Class 4. Kevin, what are you seeing so far? I'm looking at district.
In Class 4 or 5?
Class 4.
Class
4.
Okay.
Usual suspects: Blair Oaks, Fatima.
So yeah, like there's an example. Afton's already won theirs. So that, and Priory's already won their district. So a couple of these guys have kind of already wrapped up before some teams have even really got a chance to play. The one that I keep a close eye on, Kennett, is absolutely cruising down south. And they're on a crash.
They're going to play Valley Catholic.
Yep, and then probably the best game, and you kind of touched on it, is going to be that Blair Oaks Fatima ball game. That's today, I believe, at 5:00. That's going to be a showdown there, and they're both really good teams, and that'll be a fun one to watch.
Not a lot of surprises. Springfield Catholic went through.
They had to pull one out. They had a walk-off winner yesterday, and they're one of the stronger teams, if not the strongest team in that class. There's an argument to be made for a couple of them, but they had it's postseason baseball, and that's, everything's under the microscope.
So today we're looking at Class 4. Again, like I said, you got Aurora playing Hollister. What do you see in that one?
Those are two. I mean, those two teams have been in the rankings all season. They just kind of both fell out. That's a coin toss game. Both super competitive teams, and looking forward to seeing how they that one comes out. A little bit of a rivalry game. Not that you need any extra motivation in a postseason in a district final game, but that'll be a fun one to keep an eye on.
Right. St. Clair, Salem, and then finishing up championship, Lafayette and Savannah. Lafayette's up in St. Joe.
Yeah, and they got one of the best hitters in the state, Drew Luckert, going to Oklahoma. So they're, I hadn't seen that ball club, but I know it's a really good group.
Okay. And like we said, St. Charles is playing Winfield. Dominic and Bowling Green got the semifinals going today, so we'll see what happens there. I still think you're going to see St. Charles West and St. Dominic, personally. I mean, you never know.
In that one, they haven't. I guess they played one game in that district so far, so that one's basically just getting going.
Yeah. So, Matt, I'm going to bring you into this. We're moving up to Class 5. We've got usual suspects going on. What have you seen so far? What are you looking for? We still got some championship games and some semifinals left.
Well, District 2, I think the Parkway West Rockwood Summit, that's going to be a good game in the championship.
Yep.
The semifinal Rockwood Summit Pacific, I thought that was a good game, 2-1 game. Then actually, I think the shocker of that was the first round when Parkway West beat St. Mary's only 4-1. I honestly thought that was going to be kind of a cakewalk game for Parkway West, but St. Mary's hung in there. And then I think the other big thing, and Kevin has talked about Webb City all year, and they're kind of rolling through so far. So them in Glendale, which is District 6 in that class, I'm kind of curious to see how far Webb City can go. Kevin's been talking about how good they are, and clearly that's true. And if you look at the District 7, Green Valley and Marshall in the finals, I think that's going to be a pretty good matchup as well. So, I mean, every one has some sort of, I would say, upset, but, even if you get into like the DeSoto, Hillsborough, and the first district, that was a 1-0 game between a 1 and an 8, which just goes to show you got a guy on the mound, he can keep you in the game. So, but, otherwise, I think I'm curious, the Parkway West and the Webb City, for me personally, those are the two that I'm keeping a close eye on.
Well, District 4 still has quite a few games. We're moving into, I think, the semifinals today, right?
Right. Yes. And that one, you don't want to get the horse ahead of the cart, obviously, but that one we're on a crash course for Zumwalt East and Zumwalt South, but they both got tough ball games today. Warrenton sprung the upset over St. Charles in the first round, so postseason madness. And then Lutheran St. Charles is a capable group, and they beat a pretty solid Hannibal team 9-3. So each of those Zumwalt teams will have their hands full. It'll be interesting to see how each team plays their hand. They got Zumwalt East has the big arm and Austin Young. Zumwalt South has just a little more depth. So, they don't have necessarily the big time mega dude on the mound, but they got some really good ones. So it'll just be interesting to see how each team plays their hand in the semifinals. And it'll be a fun, no matter who comes out of each of those games. That'll be a good one on the 20 on Friday, I guess. For the finals.
I think that's the question right there. That's a tough one for Coach Hill. What do you do? Do you get there? What do you think, Matt?
I mean, I've won East and the Westminster matchup, so I want that round one of bracket. So in the next round, but I don't know how you can't throw Austin against Warrenton. To be honest with you, so we'll find out.
What one that I'd like to touch on quickly is District 3,
Yeah.
which there was a pretty big upset. Clayton was able to knock off Chaminade, and it looks like the Chaminade Bats weren't alive, but they have two potent arms in the Weber brothers, and neither of them pitched, and it didn't cost them the game, I don't think, because Clayton only scored 3 runs. But that kind of makes for an interesting path there, because they would have been a dangerous group, and they're out, and now you got Westminster and Parkway Central squaring off on Friday, and then MICDS had a big come from behind win over Parkway North, and they'll get 7 seed Clayton. So it's that one was kind of a wild one there. I was out at the Parkway Central Ladue game and watched Joe Ciervo had a huge game, going 3 for 3, hit a homer, a double, was on base 5 times, and kind of led that Central team. So they're a hot team right now.
Do you see Central being somebody who could knock off Westminster?
Boy, I'd like to know who Westminster's throwing. If they play the Nick Moten card, I would not bet against Westminster in any game that he's throwing. So it'll be interesting to see how they play that out. So, but I have no knowledge of who they're throwing in that ball game.
Right. So, guys, let's move up to Class 6 here, okay? Let's move up to Class 6. We had yesterday, again, you had some issues in getting things played. I thought it was interesting that how Central beat Eureka. I mean, I don't think anybody saw that coming, right?
No, especially without Ryan Hoshaw and Wayne Harris available. So a very impressive win.
So, Matt, what are your thoughts on Class 6? Where are we at here, bud?
I mean, the team we've been talking about all season. It's Zumwalt West. I mean, You get rain, they get a doubleheader, and 2 short games. So, I mean, it doesn't matter. It's 10-1, 8-0. But in that same district, which we've been touting as, at least I personally have said this is the one to watch, Holt. I mean, Zumwalt West. Holt has put up 23 runs in 2 games, and it's not like they're playing slouches. I mean, they had a Timberland game that they had a pretty good command on, and then, the Hickman, they put up 12 on Hickman. So Zumwalt West has depth, they have arms, so that matchup, for me personally, I'm interested in that one. And then if you go to District 8, Liberty North and Liberty, I think that's going to be a heck of a game and a good matchup as well. So there's some heavyweights, and then we got some other ones that still haven't played yet. So, but those 2 are the districts that we have been talking about. And then I have to say my sleeper, Vianney, didn't really get very far. So that, put egg on my face, but whatever. I'll move on from it.
Well, then I'll bring up mine. I talked about, I know not really a sleeper, I guess, but I got a little crap for that. But Lindbergh, sitting in a championship, Jackson, those 2 teams, I think whoever comes out of that district is going to be tough to beat. Agreed, Kevin?
Agree. And I've been sitting on that mainly because they're the ones that have been able to play. They were playing when no one else was playing. Of course, Vianney has the field turf, and Lindbergh has a really nice field, and they were able to get their games in. I was at the Oakville Lindbergh game, which was on my radar because Oakville has one of the best pitchers in the area, and they were an 8 seed, and Limburg did a solid job. It was a pretty competitive game, but they came out with the win there, and then won a really tight game against Seckman. Seckman had Gavin Johnson on the mound, a SEMO commit who threw a heck of a ball game and kept it tight, but Dane Bourne was up to the task and threw very well for Limburg, the sophomore heading to Missouri. So that was Limburg seems to have caught their stride here and is doing well. And then Jackson, I know we've talked about them. They're a really good ball club, and they look good against Poplar Bluff, and that'll be a good showdown versus Limburg. So that'll be a fun one. That one's today.
Yeah. So then when we move to Class 6, if we're looking at that District 3, Kevin, you got Howell Central and Howell, and then Lafayette and Marquette. I think two good matchups.
Rivalry games. Those are two rivalry games.
Matt, you hit the nail right on the head right there. Those are huge rivalry games, right?
One thing that I noticed is that you can win a ball game in the postseason and you move on, which is the goal, obviously. But one thing not to overlook is how Central had to burn a lot of bullets yesterday. They played 10 innings, and Francis Howell short gamed in their game. So it'll be interesting to see if Howell Central has enough in the tank. I know it's postseason, you let it all hang out, etc. But with the pitch count rules and everything, it'll be interesting to see if they have enough bullets left to go up against a stacked Howell team today at 1.
And then you have, like Matt said, rivalry games. Those are huge. You got Marquette, who is going to be the underdog. But when you get into those rivalry situations, I think it'll be the depth, as you said, Kevin, what's going to happen there, right?
Well, and I haven't been told who's pitching, but
right.
No one needs to feel sorry for Marquette. They're going to run out Connor Throneberry most likely, who's signed at Penn State, and Lafayette. We'll see what they do, but they got Luke Flotta heading to OU, who's put up arguably either the best or second best numbers in the entire state as a pitcher. So that one's going to be the pitching duo of the day, at least on paper.
So, Kevin, let's finish with District 5 here. Jeff City, Blue Springs South in the championship game. That's kind of one that's under the radar a little bit too, correct?
Yeah, Blue Springs South is a heavyweight that's kind of underperformed maybe a little bit this year, but they're a really good ball club. And then Jeff City has done well all season. So that one should be a good one. That was a strong district because Rockbridge is a really good team, and Blue Springs was able to beat them in a tight game. So that'll be a good game. That's tonight at 6, I believe. And one other to note, probably the biggest upset so far, Kickapoo went down last night to Joplin. And I'll fully admit I'm floored. I thought Kickapoo was on the fast track to Springfield for the Final Four, and I'll admit I was surprised to see that result. But Joplin has had a good year, so that we'll have an upset winner coming out of District 6 there.
Yeah, because they got Republic today in the championship. Yeah. Joplin and Republic, and we talked about that last week. We talked about this district being five deep, like District 8. And boom, here it is.
Yeah, absolutely. You never know in a one-game elimination. And like I said, Joplin's a good ball club, and Kickapoo's had a great year. But they had an off night, yesterday, and it ended their season, unfortunately for them.
Matt, any final thoughts here, bud?
To go back, I think I obviously the Jeff City game against Blue Springs South that I didn't bring up earlier. You guys touched on Jeff City's scoring an insane amount of runs. So interesting to see the outcome of that one. But for me, the whole Zumo West, they know each other well, and they've played each other. I think that's going to be a fun game. And then, by the end of the week, we're going to know where everybody stands. We're supposed to have good weather, so everybody's going to get these games in, and then we look at the matchups moving forward to see who's going to make it to state. So it's going to be exciting. This is the best time of year, though, for high school baseball. That's for sure.
I got to ask you, Matt, any bold predictions here with what's left?
I'm done doing that, Brian. I'm just going to stick like I do in college basketball. Pick all the 1s and the 2s, and then your brackets are only good by then.
Kevin, how about yourself? Last thoughts.
This is going to be a fun stretch. We got with all the rain, we got a ton of games kind of bottlenecked into the next couple days. So it's going to be a fun next 3 days around these parts, and looking forward to getting out and watching a lot of them.
Absolutely. Guys, thanks for coming on. I appreciate you. I know, Matt, we caught you on the road. Appreciate you jumping in here. Any picks, Kevin? Anything like that? You're not going to. I know you're not.
Yeah, I expect to see some good games. That's my pick.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm still going to hang with Lindbergh. I think that's going to be an interesting deal there. I'm interested to see how Holton West come through. That's going to be an interesting game. I like that, Matt. And we'll go from there. I think Liberty North and Liberty's a toss-up. I think you can go either way there. I think Francis Howell is going to come out of that district. That's my opinion. So I jumped out there, guys.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Francis Howell's not really a bold pick.
No. I am gonna do a little homer here for Coach Hill. I'm going east all the way because, my kids are alums, right? We're East people, so go Coach Hill.
Nothing wrong with that.
Hey, everybody, thanks for joining us today. Appreciate you tuning in. Stay up to date. Follow Kevin here at PBR Missouri on Instagram. You can, I don't know. You can follow Matt, what he's doing. Matt, you guys are on Instagram too, right? Midland Baseball?
Yeah, but we're not as interesting as Kevin.
That's okay. So, but follow Kevin at PBR Missouri. He's going to be out at the ballparks. You can see some videos. He puts up stuff. All the kids, keeps the updates, does a great job. Kevin, we appreciate that.
Does a really good job.
So,
thank you guys.
Yeah, no worries. Everybody, have a great day in the Lord. You pitchers, keep throwing strikes. You hitters, hit them where they ain't. We'll see you next time.